Hi, welcome back to another YouTube video. So it's been a little while since my last one. In one of my very first videos, I think it might be my second one, I talked a little bit about adapting resources and using paint software to adapt diagrams and that sort of thing. Now, something that's come into the limelight quite a lot recently, well, it's always been in the limelight, but obviously it's just been, particularly recently, it's been sort of quite prominent, is Black Lives Matter, and a good friend and colleague of mine is very close to our hearts, and she was saying, she sent an email out just the other week to everybody to say, when we're making resources, can we try and adapt and make sure that we use sort of, if we're making like pictures and symbols and things like that for people, make sure that we're using appropriate skin tones and that sort of thing, which is very, very true. It's a very good point. And I'm sure we're all guilty of it. I know certainly when I make resources sometimes, if I'm in a bit of a rush and I'm sort of having to make some sort of faces or hands or something for somebody to print out, I wouldn't necessarily think to do that. I might just quickly grab something off the internet and whatever comes, comes. But I mean, generally speaking, if I'm making something for a particular person, I will try and make it appropriate for that particular person. But so how do you do this? Well, there's various different ways. I mean, sometimes some programs have that option anyway, which is really helpful. So, for example, things like Zoom and WhatsApp and stuff like that have options to change your skin tone if you want to. So that's really helpful. Otherwise, it's a case of having to do it yourself, which is not particularly difficult, really, if you know how. So some images really easy. So for example, if you've got Microsoft Paint, well, you will have Microsoft Paint if you have a Windows computer because it comes as standard, and you've got a picture like this. This would be a nice easy one. All you need to do is click on your fill bucket, and you need to choose whatever colour you like and fill. Now you can see already. I thought it'd be a nice easy one, but it's not quite. It's not quite perfect because if I zoom into that image slightly, you'll see around the edges it's not perfectly white and even image around there, so that's why it's not filled in around the edges. So this is the problem with Microsoft Paint. Some images you'd be absolutely fine with. Excuse me. I know a colleague of mine said that she's used to spend hours just like going through sort of pretty much pixel by pixel trying to fill things in like this. But you don't need to do that. There's other ways. So one program that I mentioned in one of my earlier videos was this one, which is called Paintnet, and it's a free download. It's kind of a sort of a poor man's version of Photoshop, if you like. I mean, obviously you could use Photoshop and any other software like that as well to do similar things. I particularly like this one because it's easy to use. It's got a few more sort of options and things than your standard paint software that comes with Windows, and then, like I say, it's completely free as well. So if I hadn't let me put that image into here now that I know that it doesn't quite fill in properly. So if I just go to, in fact, I think I've still got it in my clipboard. Yes, I have. Yeah. So I've got this image here. I'm just going to resize it. So I'm just going to drag there and crop to selection. Okay. So on this program, again, I could use the fill tool and I could choose a color. Now, the good thing about this is I've got extra colors and things if I go to this color palette here. So if I go to that, for example, I can then change the sort of the hue and the saturation and things like that to change the tone slightly if I want to. So that's really nice. A few more options in there than some other paint programs. I can just click on there, and actually on this program already it's done a decent job. So that was quite an easy one, really. So why it didn't do that in Paint, I don't know. I guess it's the way it detects things is slightly different. So let's try another example. So recently I made some email signatures for people at work, and I included finger spelling and braille. So let's go to finger spelling, and we'll just type in somebody there. Let's just go to, I don't know, Will Smith. Okay, so this gives you a nice finger spell image that spells Will Smith. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to stick that into a new image. Now on here, again, if I just try and click on one of these, actually it's doing a decent job already, so that's really good. Another way you could do it if it didn't do that, because some images may be two different tones or 3 different tones or 4 different tones, and if you just try and click on one part, it's not necessarily going to fill in the whole shape. So another really, really useful tool on this particular program is this one here. This is the Magic Wand tool. Now if I click on that and then click an area, it selects that whole area. And let me just zoom in a little bit. Obviously it takes a little while to go through and select all the different elements to that, depending on how complex your image is, but it's not too bad really. So I won't do the whole thing, I'll just do in fact, no, we'll do the whole thing. It'll take a minute. So let me just skip across. And the other good thing of doing it this way is if I then use my fill tool, it will only fill in the areas that I've got highlighted. So I'm holding down Control on the keyboard, so I should have mentioned that, and I'm clicking on the different bits that I want to fill in. So nearly that, and that one. No. Oh. There we go. Now, if we really wanted to, we could probably find an image of Will Smith. And there he is. Let's just copy that second. And what I could do if I wanted to, obviously, it's not all one tone, nobody is. But if I use this little colour picker tool, I can then click on him. And that's given me Will Smith's tone there. And I go back to here, and now I can really make it personalised. So if I click on my fill tool now, it doesn't matter if I click anywhere outside the box, it's not going to fill it in. It will only fill in those areas that I have highlighted. And again, if I hold down Control on the keyboard and use the scroll wheel on the mouse, then you can zoom in to get those little areas like that. Nearly missed that bit. There we go. And that one and that one. So yeah, so really quick and easy to do. Because you will notice on this image there are quite a lot of pixelated bits. If I tried to put this image into Paint and do it, it wouldn't have just done it. It would have made a bit of a mess. So a bit like that first image that I put in. So really quick and easy to do in this. It only takes a few minutes. It's well worth making that extra bit of effort to do this. So I did this for, like I say, a friend and colleague of mine for her email signature. Changed her skin tone for her. So really quick and easy to do. Oops. And there we go. So if I just click on that, and there we go. There we have it. Will Smith's finger spelt picture, and it looks good. So yeah, the other thing you can do with the Magic Wand tool. So if I just go to a different image completely for a second, let's have a look for. It doesn't really matter what we look for. I don't know. Let's just go for dog. Let's go for dog painting. Right, that will do. Doesn't really matter too much. Right, so let's copy that and we'll just find a new image. So with the Magic Wand tool again, if I select that area now, you'll see it's selected that whole bit there, it selects the whole bit there, not necessarily wanting to select everything there. You've got this tolerance level thing here, so if I just move that down a little bit, you'll see that depending on what tolerance it's on, it depends on how much of the area it selects, so you can adjust that quite easily. It may not necessarily be perfect. Let me just do it down a tiny bit more, there we go. So now it's kind of selected that area, but not, it would have been nice if it selected that bit as well, but it's not, at least it's not selected all that top area. So it does take a bit of fiddling around with. Obviously it depends on your image and how complex it is, depending on what it's going to select and what it's not going to select. So if I click on here, for example, and just want to get that little brown eyebrow area, that's pretty much got the whole thing in there, I think. You can put that right up if you want to, if you know it's not going to select other areas. But then when you get to a certain point where it will do that. So yeah, so that's not bad actually. So yeah, and again I can choose something there and I can fill that whole area in. It's kind of ruin the painting slightly, but you get the idea. So yes, that's just a really quick demo of how you can alter skin tone for images and things that you're working on for somebody. Because I think it is important if you're doing resourcing for somebody, if they're say Asian or black or from a different nationality of some sort, that you really adapt your resources to make them for them really. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So just a really quick demo. Anybody have any questions or comments, please do get in touch, and thank you very much. Bye.